Hey family, it is me. It is Kim. Kim Talks Unscripted. I am back with another discussion on Life is Lifing. Yeah, we are still stuck on the Life is Life, and so I guess it's just going to be the chronicles of however they do that. The chronicles of Life is Lifing. Yeah, but anyway, I hope everyone's day is going well. Let me first say good evening. I'm sorry for that. Good evening. I am in my own little office here, and I just had to come on at this hour. It's a little late. As a matter of fact, it's almost 9 o'clock p.m. my time, Central Standard Time. And I had a few things on my mind, and I just wanted to get this out because, it's never, ever a dull moment. Never. And I really want to talk to you all as the listeners about being a caregiver. Okay, I'm not sure if many of y'all have had that experience of being a caregiver or not. I know I am actively in that role, and so tonight I just want to talk. I usually discuss things and bring things to the forefront to you all, but I'm gonna need a little help on this one because I got a lot of questions, and so I need some questions answered. I need some helpful tips. So before I just dive into it, I want to ask this particular question about a statement that's very familiar to me, and I just want to see if you all have heard it. The statement is once a man, twice a child. Has anybody ever heard that statement? I know I've heard of it. It's very common. I hear it a lot. Never understood it until now. But I'm going to say it again. Once a man, twice a child. Okay. For those that have heard it, where it came from, you know what it means. That's awesome. But for those that do not understand that statement, let me kind of break it down for you. When we're talking about once a man, twice a child, we're talking about someone, an adult, they've gone through their younger years, they're an adult, they've gone from a young adult to a middle adult to the late adult stages, and they are in, we call them the elderly, but let's call them our seasoned folks. They start doing childlike things, okay? For example, when we were children, a lot of us, we couldn't get up in the morning and eat ice cream and candy and chips. You were made to eat breakfast. I don't care if it was a light breakfast, a heavy breakfast, but you ate, you know, a regular breakfast, a meal, before all the snack time comes around. I mean, that's just how it was. And so when you in the stage of doing childlike things as an adult, being in your later years or latter years, I want to say, you get up and they might do such things. They get up and eating an ice cream sandwich, eating a bag of chips. And it was like, wait a minute, this is backwards. And so you find yourself being the caregiver, okay, that you have to say, no, mother, you can't have that. You need to eat breakfast. No, dad, that's not good for you. You're going to have to, put that away, and we need to focus and eat this. This is more balanced for you. That's what I'm talking about, okay? The roles have reversed. And so my dilemma that I'm in, family, is simply this. I have discovered now, I thought this is new to me, but what I'm finding out is not been a new process or a new thing that just happened. It's something been ongoing and it now has become new to me. I have a parent now that is going through or battling dementia, okay? And so with dementia, a lot of times they start with having problems retaining information. Their short-term memory there's not functioning like it should be. You always hear of, people that are going through dementia, Alzheimer's, this kind of thing, where they can remember way back in the past, but when it comes to the present, like you could say something and then they'll ask you the same thing three, four, five times, because it doesn't stick. Their short-term memory is not functioning the way it should be. But the long-term memory is there. Once you take in, the brain takes it in and stores that information, it never leaves. It stays there. And so I've been going through that, family. So like I say, life be life, and there's never a dull moment with me, and I'm sure with you all. But if you have been in a place where you have walked this walk with a loved one, whether it was your mother, your father, or aunt, just that loved one where you are now having to take the role of to take care of them, make sure they are clean, they're showering, making sure they have clean clothes on, making sure medications are taken, making sure doctor's appointments are met, meals are cooked. If you are walking in that, I salute you, because there's not enough money, in this world that can pay you for all the things that you have to do. I am walking that walk now, family, and a lot of times I find myself frustrated. I find myself short patience, and I have to remember, though the roles has changed, that now I feel like I'm raising that parent. I'm raising my mother again. I'm telling her right and wrong. I feel like, you know, I need to work on some things. I have to keep that respect there because it's still my parent. You still have your parent, or whoever that loved one is that you're having to care for. And it's hard. I mean, it's really hard, family. I'm like, sometimes you need encouragement because at times caregivers, and I'm talking about myself too on this one, you care so much for that person that you forget to care for yourself. And that's where I'm at. I have forgotten, hey, Kim, it's certain things you need to do to keep going. If you don't take care of yourself first, you know, it's not going to turn out good. Okay. And I knew this from working in healthcare, family, but when it hits home, when it's in your house, it hit different. Okay. It really hits different. And so I just never thought, but we say that all the time. Never thought it would happen in our household. Never thought I would have to deal with that, but it's happening. So, I just want to know, talk to me. Let me know, hey, give me some helpful tips. Give me some encouragement. Tell me the things that you had to do just to make it through the day to keep your sanity. Let me know. Kim talks, yeah, I talk and everything, but Kim also listens, okay? So I want to listen to you, family, because dementia it's horrible. It's really horrible. You find yourself having to do more than the things that I just stated, keeping them clean, keeping meals cooked, making sure appointments is made. You find yourself even being on phone patrol because this is the time of the year where you get all of these calls from like Medicare calls and all these insurance calls, and they don't even know. Like my mother, she doesn't even know. They'll start giving information that they shouldn't be given, you know? And so now you're on phone patrol because you got to be able to just take away or separate, hey, this is a scam call. You don't need to talk to this company, so-called, that person. So it has so many levels of being a caregiver until you really can't fully take it in and understand unless you walking through this thing. And that's why I say, family, this is the one time I need y'all to talk to me all this because it's really it's new. It's confusing sometimes. Like, how did we get to this place? You know, and at the same time, you're trying not to take away. take away this and take away that. You trying to let them keep just a little bit of independence, and then even that's tough. That's tough. And you trying to do everything you can. And I know there was one particular day my mother came and she told me, and this was in the beginning when she had to stop working because she was holding down a job at this time. All right. And so she was forced to have to stop. And, she told me, she says, hey, the one thing I want to make sure of, if y'all please let me stay in my home. And the only way I could answer that question at that time, family, was simply this: I am going to give you as much independence as you can handle, you know. And it might sound so general, but that's all that could come to mind at the time. And so I was like, oh my goodness. And she knew something was going on, but she couldn't put a hand on it. And she had these discussions with her doctors. I found this out, later after I started taking her to the appointments and everything. And, I was like, wow, she's been going through this. She noticed it herself, you know. And so now myself, I have another sibling, and another family member that's been helping. So I haven't had it all on my shoulders, family. Thank God for that. But it's still heavy. The load is still heavy. And so it's just it's amazing how you'll know who your help is, who's there for you and who's not. And it's unfortunate that we think about friends, people outside of our home, that will just leave you in a minute. But it hit different when you got family members that do you like that. Man, that hit real, real different. You know what I'm saying? And so it's really hard. It's really hard. And I question myself every day, and I'm hard on myself, and I'm sure y'all have done the same thing. The ones that's walking in this thing, you said, man, I should have been a little bit more patient. I should have been, I should have listened a little bit more. I know she's gonna ask me the same thing about 5 times. I should just answer it like I heard it the first time, so they will feel like they still have some normalcy around, going on. And so it's that part, is rough. And I'm gonna tell you something else that's rough. And I want to know this. You know how you have certain folks like family tell you stuff like, well, y'all gonna have to take the car away from her, take her keys, and y'all gonna have to take, over like her money and stuff. Y'all gonna have to do this. You might as well just go ahead on and let her give up her place and let her stay with one of y'all. It's giving all this solicited advice that no one asked for. Okay. And not one time that a phone call has been made saying, hey, if you need something, let me know. If you need a break and I handle the doctor appointments this week, let me know. Or, hey, I'm going to stop by just to see her. I'm going to stop by, and make sure you good. What do you need? I mean, that's just so Greek in my ears right now. And again, if you know what I'm screaming, let me know. I just want these comments to be full. I'm literally going to be waiting to hear. I'm not to hear to read the comments that you guys has got to say about this discussion. You know, it really blows my mind how when people on the outside looking in, they got all of this talk, they got all these suggestions and everything, but don't come around. Not a phone call, nothing. It blows my mind. No, let me be really, really straight. Let me be really transparent. Because this is Kim Talks Unscripted. It pisses me the hell off. It does. And if that sounds too hard for someone's ears, oh well. I'm sorry, I got to be real. I just got to say it. This is how I'm feeling. And so this is why I brought this to you all. You know, I've been talking about life is life, and this is not the first discussion. If you missed, the original one I first came out, that podcast is still there. Go back and listen to it. This is just an addition, okay? But it really, really pisses me off how who you thought. Now I'm talking about family. Nah, I ain't talking about you know your good girlfriend. I ain't talking about your home dude. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about family that you know y'all get together more than just for a funeral. Okay, you have a cookout just because. You call everybody on the Sunday. Hey, what y'all doing? Y'all come on down. We can put some patties, some meat patties on the grill and, play some cards or whatever and put some music on. I'm talking about that kind of so-called closeness of a family. That's what I'm talking about. And come at you, they vanish. They talk from behind the scenes. They talk from behind the wall. That's what I'm screaming. Yeah, that's a piss off. And I know a lot of y'all probably has dealt with that. That's why I want to know how you dealt with that. Because I'm having a hard time dealing with it. So before I say something, because I do not like to be disrespectful to my seasoned people, I'm shutting my mouth for right now. I'm keeping a closed lip for right now. But don't get it twisted, because I can be slick at the mouth. Okay? I've been delivered from some things, but there's still a work going on. Okay? So, this caregiving situation, I know that I am walking in right now. It's really tough. It's really tough. It's a full-time job. Full time. And it's like it's ongoing. It is ongoing, I'm telling you. And I've heard stories from different people that I knew back in the day would say, I know this one lady, she got a call that her mother was walking down the street, didn't have no shoes on, looked like she was holding something in some grocery bags, like she had just went to the corner store to get something. One of the neighbors saw her. She didn't know where she was at. She didn't know how to get home and stuff. And luckily, the neighbor knew her and called her on the phone and said, "Hey, your mom's out here. She don't have no shoes on. She don't know where she at. She's holding some bags like she went to the store. And she had to rush off her job to go, get her mother back in place. And she ended up just staying home for the rest of that day and try to make arrangements where her mother wouldn't be by herself, in other words. So I've heard stories like that. I've heard stories where, um, the people had to put their loved one in, in like nursing homes and what have you, because they had to work. People don't not misunderstand that even though you're a caregiver, you still got stuff to do. You still got a household to run. You got mortgage. You still got a light bill. You got, some of y'all got rent. You got gas. You got water. I mean, you got groceries. You got a lot of folks probably got children that they're still raising, or if the children are grown and not the household, you going through it with your parent, your spouse going through it with his parent, and it's bringing a strain on your relationship. All of that be going on, at the same time, and you trying to keep that thing together, y'all. It's rough. It is so rough. I'm telling you, it's times, y'all. I ain't gonna even lie. I'm so tired mentally until I don't even want to take a bath sometime. I just want to go straight to bed. I just want to go straight to bed. But I feel like, I mean, I got to take a shower. I got to wash the day off. But I'm not going to lie. I feel like that. I don't want to get emotional because it's hard. It's really hard. Bear with me, family. But it's really taken a toll. And only thing right now I could say, I have not worked a regular job in like, in months. And I'm gonna explain that in another another podcast that a while back. And so I've had to, I'm doing, I'm with my mother full time. And so it just get to a point where you just need a breather for a day. Just for a day. Even though I'm not in it totally by myself, the weight is still heavy. It's really heavy. Today I actually had a break today. Thank God I had, a great aunt of mine, my mother's sister, was, you know, took care of her for today. And I was like, went to a restaurant, sit on a patio, and I sit up there, and I'm not a drinker, you guys, but I will have, a little wine or a margarita or something every now and then. And today I ordered a margarita, mango margarita, I think, and I sit there out there on that patio because I was waiting for my crawfish. And I sat out there and I drank it and just enjoying the music that the restaurant had going on. And it just felt good just in that moment. Just in that moment. And, I just need, your girl Kim just need a little help. I just need some advice, you know, um, things that would just maybe stimulate her mind because let me go back to this. I didn't even talk about. I said doctor's appointments earlier. Let me talk on that for a moment. And if I'm all over the place, I just feel like I'm all over the place. Okay, bear with me. When a person is getting tested for dementia, and this is what I have experienced when I'm going through watching my mother. They do a lot of cognitive screening testing. Okay, when you go in there, I went in there with my mother. They won't let you be right beside her. It's like I'm opposite from her, or they make you sit in the lobby because they sit her. They sit them at a computer like screen. And they'll say, "Okay, I want you. This is. I want you to point at this particular shape. It could be a triangle, or rectangle, or whatever." And they ask them a lot of things to do, to see if they can recall it back. That's the little bit I got. I did hear. I had to go wait in the waiting room, so I didn't get to hear her do the whole thing and stuff. They won't let you sit beside because they don't want you to help, your loved one. So they got a lot of cognitive screening test going on. There was a brain scan that she had to do so that, to see what the brain is doing. They want to make sure there's no tumors there because that could be affecting the short term memory. And, it would mimic uh, dementia. So they want to, rule that out. They will make the patient do a sleep study, because if you don't get a good night's sleep, that will take an effect. Okay, so even that is done. They make you, the patient, do a EEG. If you don't know what that is, that's your homework for the night. An EEG of the brain where they put these electro lobes, or I'm probably not saying it right, on your head. They do that. I guess they're testing the brain waves or whatever. They do that. They do that in office, and actually they send a technician to your home, and they do the same thing, y'all. It's a lot. It's a lot. Then after this is done, and then lab work, they're gonna do blood work, and so the doctor's looking over that, and they can pick it up, they can detect. They're already going to start on some type of memory med. Then when you think, oh, I thought that the testing was over, okay, now it's a step further where now a patient, like in my mother's case, has to go to a because that was a neurologist. They see a neurologist for this. Let me say that. Now she's going to a neuropsych doctor. It's like it's a neurologist, psych doctor, something to that effect. Something to that effect. I ain't got all these fancy names of it, whatever, y'all. So I'm gonna see. I'm gonna see. I'm going to learn it sooner or later. But anyway, I got that. And these appointments, let me tell you, some of those what specialty doctors are booked up for months. Okay? That's a headache when you really trying to get your loved one in here and so we can make sure what this diagnosis is. So if you suspect your loved one is going through this and you are going to become the caregiver, I just want to let you know through your girl Kim what my experience has been, for as that is concerned. Because it's a whole lot of, okay? Whole lot of, and stuff. And it's just something. So I got that off my chest. Like I say, it's never a dull moment. And I didn't mean to get emotional. And because until now, do you know, I hadn't had a chance to even shed a tear. I hadn't had a chance to be emotional. I hadn't had a chance to really get my feelings out in the way that I want to because I'm so busy trying to make sure this is done and that is done. And that is just it's been rough. I mean, there's been some laughter to it. Some people will go and share this particular situation, this particular discussion on other social media platforms, and they'll bring their loved one out. Don't know if I want to do that just yet. Right now, I just want to talk about it. And so, just, because my whole thing is this, I want to hear what you all have to say. I can't wait to read the comments about it. Is your parents suffering from dementia? Your parents suffering from Alzheimer's? Or let's go a step further or two. Or you caring for a loved one? They might have their mind might be intact, but maybe they have another injury where you're still having to take care of them. Maybe they have a spinal cord injury or something like that, and so you're still having to do care for them in a way because they can't take care of themselves. Whatever it is, and you're doing the caregiver role, let me know. Kim Talks, yes, unscripted. I want to know. Tell me what you went through. Tell me the days that you had so much anger and frustration. What did you do to come from a 10 to bring it down to a 2? Yeah, that's what I want to know. I really want to know because it's yeah, it's like that. So that's all I want to bring to y'all, and just to talk about this. I thank y'all for listening. Thank you so much for those that are going to listen later. It's just been a whole lot. And so I want to keep everyone in a know of what's going on with me, what's going on in this thing called life. And look, as you know, I'm on many different platforms. I'm on YouTube. You can go to YouTube. You can go to Castbox. You can go to Pandora, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You could just Google me, Kim Talks Unscripted, and it'll take you right where I'm at. I am on TikTok as well, but I have not discussed this particular thing. So TikTok, I have a couple other different little things, but just follow me, okay? Follow me, please. Turn your notifications on so you'll know when Kim Talks Unscripted is on. All right. That is it. Let me give y'all back the rest of y'all night. I'm going to watch a movie. Yes, I am. Today has been a decent day. Yeah. All right. Good night, y'all.